Hello. Today we are going to talk about a nice, fun little idea called the chase. The chase. So, the chase, what I'm talking about today is this idea of moving towards something you want, right? The idea of being here, you're moving towards something, and the object of your affection, we'll do a nice exclamation point, is over here. And the idea is that it just keeps moving. And you keep going towards it and moving towards it. And why is the chase there? And how to escape the chase or move beyond the chase, because it is just one of many cycles we experience when we're trying to obtain something. And so if you find yourself in a place where you're constantly just always chasing towards something to the point where you're more focused on the chase than actually getting what you want, this is the video for you. Okay, so let's talk about what is fundamentally going on. And this will be a pretty quick one because this dynamic is actually one of the simpler dynamics to go over, because it is caught within lower paradigm thinking. When I say lower, I just mean that it's attached to 7th degree consciousness, right? Now, part of being in 7th degree consciousness, remember, complexity and confusion. That is the objective and the goal of 7th degree consciousness. It is to create complexity and confusion. It's to obfuscate the mysteries and to hide what is going on, right? So when you're in the chase, you are firmly in that. So here we have the scale. Here at the top, we have enlightenment. And then at the bottom, we have shame. So shame is this idea of feeling like you are not worthy. That's basically it, right? And then at the very top, enlightenment is knowing that you are worthy and you are one with the entire universe, right? So you don't see the universe as separate from you. While this is, I'm so separate from the universe, I'm not worthy of good things, right? So these are the sort of separations. And then here, in reasoning is where we go from trying to understand your worth. And so when we are in the chase, we are firmly in there. Our energetic state is in between that. Now, if you don't know this is the Hawkins scale. Go check it out. I have a bunch of other videos. I actually might have a whole video specifically about the Hawkins scale, but I bring it up again and again. And basically at the bottom here, negative emotions, top here, positive emotions, and the middle are all the more neutral ones. And as you guys know, the scale is divided by spirit. I'm doing the colors today. Mind and body. And the idea is that the chase is what happens when your sense of bodily autonomy is hijacked by your mind, right? So the chase is firmly based in the emotion of desire. So let's talk about what desire is today. Desire is this idea of wanting something. So when you want something, the idea is that I am over here, and the thing, the object of my desire is over here, right? The thing I want is over here. Now, when you desire something, desire fills the energetic space between the thing you want and the thing between the object. Now, here's a couple of rules, because regardless of how we move, the same dynamics are always going to be attractive. One of the higher laws in the mind, once we start stepping into 5th and 6th degree law, Seventh degree is also resplendent, but it's this idea of attraction. And you attract not what you want, wants. You don't attract wants. You attract what you are. So the idea is, in order to attract something, to really have it, you have to move as though it's already a part of you. So when you are stuck in desire, you are creating the space between the object of what you desire and yourself. And so the very emotion of desiring that thing creates space between you and the thing, because you can't want something if you have it, right? You can't enjoy something if it's not with you. So in order to chase that, you have to create a separation from it. And without meaning to, without recognizing, we are creating the separation between what we want and what we desire by wanting and staying there. So in order to move past desire and to move closer to our object, we have to close the emotional distance by moving up the scale. And so we move up the scale by finding out what are the emotions that we're experiencing. Well, after you have desire, one of the most common feelings right after desire is fear. So when you have desire, you have to then find what is it you're fearing. And then as you move through fear, you then go from what you're fearing, you then move into a place of anxiety. And this anxiety will then bring up feelings. It'll start, because now you're working against this worthiness and this shame. So you're going to start seeing what's really going to happen. And then as you work through and channel that anxiety and you channel that fear, then you're going to start moving into a place of anger or intense discomfort, right? And when you start feeling angry, know that that's actually a good indicator. That means you're moving away from desire and you're moving towards it. But moving through the anxiety is really, really tough, because then ultimately we step into pride. And then, so here you have desire kind of being one and pride being like the fifth step. So you're trying to make decisions to move your emotional state from desire to fear to anxiety. And then from that anxiety, you'll create anger because you're confronting your own resistance and your own pride. Pride, as we overcome our pride, either thinking people are better than us or that we're better than other people, we start getting this sense of elevation removed from ourselves. And when we move from that sense of elevation, we then take the place of courage. And courage is the idea of facing what you fear, but doing it anyway. And then once you step into courage, now you're able to be neutral. And when you're able to be neutral, now you can start seeing things objectively. And then this object that you want versus yourself, that begins to shorten. The space between that object and you gets smaller and smaller, because now you're neutral. There's just this empty space there, and then there's the object. Then what happens is you start moving into a plan. So you start going into acceptance, and then you go into a willingness. And the willingness is saying, hey, maybe there's a plan. Maybe there's a way I can move from here closer to my object. But then as you're moving up the scale, so you're willing to put in a plan, you're accepting the things and the steps that need to go there, what happens is now you begin to draw this object to you emotionally, because you're reasoning now, hey, what do I need to do to move closer to this? How do I understand it? And then eventually you step into joy, love, and then peace. And then peace is when you finally feel that you and the object are no longer separate, but you are one. And that comes with wholeness, right? And when you're whole, that's when you can then bring that object of your affection to you, because in your mind, in your spirit, you already have it, and you're living in this place of spirit, and that's where you have it, and that's how you move beyond the chase. And this all happens internally. All of this happens within our mind, within our hearts, as we go through and we internalize and we move up these emotions. So if you're wondering, well, hey, what do I do? How do I implement all of these steps? Well, the first step is you want to, one, identify your feelings. Identify what you're actually feeling. That's the first thing. Then identify where you are on the scale. So if you know, okay, I'm feeling desire, that means you know, okay, the feeling I'm feeling is desire, so I know that I'm underneath fear. And then the last thing you want to do is then set an intention up the scale. And then as you set an intention up the scale, you will then move through each of these feelings. If you want a big check mark, the biggest thing is if you're in this zone, do everything you can to face and be courageous. So courage means that there's something I want to do that I'm not doing. And then after you've done being courageous, then the last thing you want to do is move into acceptance. So after you're courageous, you accept whatever act of courage that happens and just accept the results. Of course, this is easier said than done, but it's really that simple. It's simply identify where you feel, identify where you are, and then set the intention up the scale. So if you're in the chase and in desire, set the intention to be courageous and make the courageous move. After you've been courageous, accept whatever the results are. And then just do that over and over again. And then once you've been courageous, once you accept the results, you will then naturally move into a place of love and peace. And then you will move towards that sense of greater worthiness. Now, obviously, that's really quite difficult because there's a lot of reasons people aren't courageous, and there's a lot of reasons people don't accept it. But understand that emotional journey you go on is about your own progress and about what are the things holding you back and taking you on the scale. Because I can put these instructions simply, but then little things are going to happen along the way. And those little things that you acquire along the way are going to be the lessons you need to fully integrate your intention with the clarity that you need in order to find wholeness and to bring the object of what you're really looking for into yourself, right? Anyway, that's just a long way of saying you'll get what you want when you stop wanting it, but when you accept it and you are it. It's just as simple as that. Now, like and subscribe if that's making sense, and please put a comment and ask any questions. I hope this is clearly clear to you. If you guys want help making sense of all of this and understanding how can you then personally implement this into your own life, I would love to sit down and have a session with you. Hit my link down below and we can talk about ways you can implement these types of strategies in your life to move closer from where you are to what you want. Anyway, I hope all is well. Hopefully this was a pretty quick video, but just wanted to talk about the idea of how we move beyond the chase. Anyway, stay happy, stay healthy. Peace.